Well, I know it's December of 2021, and you're probably saying, why are you putting out this video about an Echo PB8010 backpack leaf blower when they've already been replaced by the PB9010 backpack leaf blower? Well, keep watching here and you're going to find out, because there's a whole lot of similarities between that PB8010 and PB9010. And one of the biggest things right now, of course, like I said, it's 2021, so the supply chain is completely clogged and jammed up, and there's a shortage of backpack leaf blowers out there. But the PB8010 is still hanging out on the shelves of some of those dealers who just didn't push it really well. Or when the PB9010 came in, the PB8010 got pushed to the back, the 9010s were sold, and those 8010s are still sitting around, and they're available for any of you guys that are looking for a big, powerful backpack leaf blower. So the point of this is, here we're just going to show you how well the PB8010 works, why it's a good option if you can't get the 9010, and some of the similarities between them. So here's a few things to know about the Echo PB8010 backpack leaf blower. 79.9 cc displacement engine. They have it rated at 171 CFM, that's cubic feet per minute. That's the volume of air it's moving. Maxes out at about 211 miles an hour, 44 newtons of blowing force. That's the important number right there, that 44 newtons of blowing force. An 83.8 fluid ounce fuel tank. It weighs 24.5 pounds. And the carbon fiber frame, that's important because that's what cuts down on the weight on this thing and makes it feel a little bit lighter than some of the competitors out there. And you can see we added there, it was replaced by the PB9010, because that's a critical thing to remember, that this doesn't show up on the Echo USA website or anything like that because they came out with the PB9010. They're pushing that, obviously, because it's a more powerful unit. But again, it's still a lot of the same features and a lot of the same stuff as the 8010. And this, I thought this was just hilarious. I mean, it sucked for the dealers. It sucked for the sales reps because nobody knew what was happening. Nobody knew it was coming. But, you know, when you sit back and look at it, you can see here, these are the big players out there in the backpack leaf blower market. You have the Murayama, the BL9000, the Redmax EBZ 8550, or the equivalent to that would be the Husqvarna 580 BTS, and then Steel came out with their BR800, and Echo had their PB8010, and all of those were just going back and forth. Well, ours is better. Ours has this. Ours has this. You know, Husqvarna has that 580 BTS out there for years. It's a great backpack leaf blower. And, you know, their claim was, well, ours, you can run it longer before you have to refuel. And Steel was saying, oh, well, we got the side starter on our BR800, and, you know, our power is pretty close to the same. And, you know, they were all nitpicking at each other. And then out of nowhere, Echo's like, okay, well, we're going to put this to rest. We took our 8010 back. We tweaked it a little bit. We're making it a 9010, and now we're just going to literally blow you guys away. And they jumped up the power on that thing, the blowing force, the CFM, the miles per hour. They jumped all that up, and they came out with the 9010. But like I said, if you were a dealer, it kind of sucked for you because you didn't know that was happening. They made no announcements like, hey, we're going to phase out the 8010 already and come out with a bigger and better unit. So there's a lot of guys that ended up with these 8010s just sitting around because everybody coming in wanted the 9010, obviously because it's more powerful. But you can see here, this is what Echo put out when they came out with the 9010. This is the information here as far as the blowing force. And they have the MSRP over there, which is kind of irrelevant because nowadays everything is just all over the place with MSRPs and price increases and that stuff. But the big thing, of course, is the blowing force. You can see that the PB9010 has 7 more newtons of blowing force than the Steel BR800. It even has more than the PB8010, and that's a lot of power there. You can see it's a pretty big gap between the Echo PB9010 and all the competitors there. Even the 8010, you know, it's a pretty good gap there, 9% more power than the 8010. But the big thing to remember again is limited supply on everything these days. So you can see here at this chart that PB8010 is still going to be a good value because it's still a good, strong, powerful backpack leaf blower. So here's a couple of the common features that you'll find between both the PB8010 and the PB9010. You have the top mount air filtration system, and it's a 2-stage air filtration system. You have the heavy duty foam pre-filter, you have the pleated paper secondary filter with the foam around it. So seals up everything really nice, keeps all the dust and dirt and debris out. If you have the PB8010T or PB9010T, for any of you that don't know, that T at the end stands for tube mount for the operator controls. On those models there, you can adjust the grip for forward, backwards. You can angle it either way. You can also slide it back or forward on the tube itself to accommodate whatever length arm you have. If you have the PB9010H, PB8010H, that H stands for hip mount. That's that moves your throttle controls down by your hip and are actually mounted to the frame of the leaf blower. Both the models have these massive, over 3.5-inch diameter blower tubes with the metal wear ring on them. That's how you get that big burst of air volume just coming out of those massive tubes. The fuel tank, it's a pretty decent sized fuel tank, as we mentioned earlier, and it's no secret that if you're trying to move air, it takes a lot of power to move air. So these things are going to suck some gas down in a hurry because, it takes a lot of power to do that. It takes a lot of power to move that kind of air at that kind of productive rate. Now, the good thing with these Echo products is they have the Yes You Can maintenance kits. So if you need to replace a fuel tank cap, or if you need to replace your fuel lines, you can easily do that with one of the Yes You Can maintenance kits, and it's a very cost-effective maintenance repair, or if you just need to do some service to your machine. They also have the kits with the air filter in them, spark plugs, and some other stuff. You really want to check those out if you like doing your own repairs and your own maintenance and upkeep on your Echo power equipment. There's a removable starter. It's real easy to take off there. 3 screws, you can remove that whole starter assembly. If you got to make any repairs like fix your rope, you have a broken or bent spring in there. Now, between the 8010 and the 9010, they did improve this area of the blower, because there were some issues on the 8010s with those screws coming back out, and they would end up breaking off. They would strip out. The 9010, they have solved all those issues. If you have an 8010 and it's still under warranty and that happens, make sure to get it back to your dealer and get it taken care of. Now, on paper, you can make the specs, to look like anything is a good piece of equipment. When it comes to leaf blowers, I always like to see how far away is that air coming out of the blower carrying? That force that you're getting, how far is that force traveling? And you can see here, I'm standing between 35 and 40 feet away from these shrubs in the background, and the air coming out of this PB8010T is making them just wiggle all around. That is how much blowing force this has. Now, this is a nice calm day, but that's the whole point here. You want to make sure that the air coming out of your leaf blower is going more than like 2 or 3 feet in front of you, because you want to be able to shoot those leaves, way up ahead of you and keep the pile moving, especially if there's a slight breeze going. You don't want them blowing back on you. You don't want them blowing to the left or the right or wherever you're trying to get them moved to. So having this strong of a blowing force that can reach that far is definitely a benefit. So here you can see the PB8010T just moving away these big piles of leaves and making it look easy. It looked kind of effortless with that PB8010T, and it was doing it very quickly compared to if you're going out there with the Echo 580 or even the Echo 770. This thing is heads and shoulders above those models, and then you figure the PB9010 is going to have more power than this. But again, it comes back to what you can find. Right now supplies are limited of all that stuff. So if you can't find a PB9010 and you can find the PB8010 somewhere sitting on a dealer's shelf collecting dust, grab it before somebody else does, because it's not going to last long. It's a good, solid leaf blower. If there's any kind of issues with it, you have a warranty. You can get any of those things. The first year models did have some bugs in them and stuff, but again, it's all under warranty. They had some recalls. The dealer, if they're a good dealer, should have fixed all those issues before they sell it to you. If they didn't, you don't have to worry. Echo will take care of them for you. But again, don't shy away from it just because it's an 8010 and you say, oh, well, this is a discontinued model. We don't want that. We want the 9010. It's way more powerful. The 8010 is still a solid unit. The 9010, yeah, a little bit more blowing force, but you're not losing out by making that purchase of the 8010, as you can see here with how quickly it's doing the job. In this area here, you can see that we have our little bonfire pit back there and a bench. And the last thing you want to be doing is having a little bonfire with dried up leaves all over the ground. So going down there with the PB8010 makes quick work of cleaning that up and you're ready to go. The other thing is, in our area, you don't want to leave too many leaves laying around because you don't know what might be hiding under them this time of year. So again, this thing here is going to get that job done in a hurry. And it doesn't matter if you get the PB8010, the PB9010, both good, solid, reliable units. You can't be picky and choosy at this point because of the supply chains. It keeps going back to that, you know. Echo and everybody out there is having a hard time getting the parts and the manpower to build this stuff and to get it out there to the dealers. So if you're in need of a good, powerful, strong leaf blower, don't turn away from that PB8010 waiting on a PB9010, because you might not see that 9010 for quite a while. So hopefully this helps you guys understand a little bit more as to how big of a difference there is between the PB8010 and PB9010, but how little of a difference there really is between the PB8010 and the PB9010, if that makes any sense. If you have any questions or need any more information about the Echo PB8010 or PB9010, or you want to leave some feedback about either of those units if you've been using them, be sure to do so here on the comments section for this video. And if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to this channel, and thanks for watching.